Okay. Why is it for an Italian easier to learn Turkish than Greek, generally speaking? I'm not referring particularly to the structure of the language, which intrinsically Greek is easier than all things considered. In every language, there are some things that are more difficult, some things are less difficult. Turkish spelling is surely easier than Greek. Um, the structure of the sentence is easier in Greek than in Turkish. The amount of words you have to memorize that are completely different are more in Turkish than in Greek. However much it can seem difficult, but these, for example, months are very similar in Greek. In Turkish, only 3 months are similar. All the other months, name of the months are completely different. It's a non-European, non-Indo-European language, so it's very difficult, very strange. But there are some things, regardless of the inner workings of the language, that make, in the long run, easier to acquire Turkish, in spite of the fact that on the face of it, it seems that Greek is closer to our way of thinking. I mean, it's a European language, and when I say European, I mean an Indo-European. Spelling, Greek sound okay. It doesn't take a lot to learn how to read Greek. At the end of the day, it's the closest system to our Latin system of writing, alphabet. So it's very easy. The problem is it's easy to read, it's not easy to spell. Okay? For the most part, Turkish spelling is like pronunciation, not every time. Train is spelled T-R-E-N and then it's pronounced Tiran, not train. Here is spelled B-U-R-A-D-A. It is pronounced Burda, not Burada. So there are some minor things that even in Turkish are not exactly, but for the most part is a very phonetical spelling, just because it was invented 100 years ago. So the spelling and pronunciation haven't diverged a lot. The only thing that has changed is the yumuşak G, which was pronounced in the past R, and now it's not pronounced. Okay, so we say Erdoğan, but there was a R, and you can almost feel it, but it's not pronounced. It makes the vowel be longer. It makes the vowel longer. So what is it that makes a language that is intrinsically difficult? For English speakers is considered level 4. Level 4 is quite difficult. It means it's considered more difficult than German, just easier than Japanese, Korean, Chinese, and Arabic. Okay? So it's yes, but for an Italian it's more or less the same. Italian is very close to English when it comes to vocabulary, not the rest. But okay, I would say most of this system of grading difficulty works also for Italian, since Italian is considered level 1 difficulty for English speakers. Okay, so I'd say Turkish is one of the language that sound-wise is not difficult. doesn't have weird sounds like Arabic and Chinese. No. Japanese is quite easy for us. Korean is a little more difficult than Japanese, only because I don't know the languages. I'm speaking sound-wise. I mean, how difficult is it to pronounce and detect and distinguish sounds? Okay. How difficult it is to pronounce and to distinguish sounds. I found that Turkish, for the most part, is quite easy. For an English speaker, even easier, because you have the that is the teacher, that sound in English it is called schwa. It's the most common sound in English. Banana, It's very common in Turkish. It's a I without a dot. So you have the this quite close, not exactly to the sound of work, öğretmen. It's quite close. It's close to the British work, not the American work. It's a bit close. Then you have the U. That's similar to the French U. You don't have in English. And then you have a ch, j, sh, l. All the rest is. The H is a little bit with a bit of sound from your throat. It's not like in Greek. It's not completely. It's a little bit of guttural sound, but not so much. They don't have the, so it's easier for Italians. So Italians basically have to learn the sound. This, if they know English, they should already know it. And they should know also, U, U. So basically, it's quite easy when it comes to sounds. When it comes to the way you organize your sentence, it's completely the opposite. You take a phrase that's very similar in English and Italian. I like your friends. Subject, verb, object. In Turkish, you have subject, object, and verb. Your friend, like. It sounds difficult. No, you get used to it. It's so omnipresent. When the sentence gets longer, it gets harder and harder. And the way you're thinking, I like the fact you have done that. It's all one sentence. The fact that you've done that is one word, not one sentence, one word. So, okay, there are more different things than similar things. First of all, some people like, to have their work cut out. I mean, not everybody likes making short work or something. Some people like to strive. Another thing is, so getting back to the subject at hand. So why? I'll tell you why. Turkish is easier than Greek. In the long run, not in the short run. In the short run, Greek is easier. One thing, Turkish mentality. Turkish people are prone to help other people to learn the language. They don't have this idea that foreigners are not interested in their language. They are very outgoing and they like the fact that other foreigners. That's my impression. In the 6-7 months that I've been trying to learn Turkish or to acquire the language, sometimes Turkish people overestimate your ability to learn their language. They think that their language is easy. So they don't play hard to get or superior. When Greek people, I'm sorry to say that, have more a snotty attitude. I'm generalizing, okay? But when you learn a foreign language, you know that if you try to contact 100 Greeks, you will likely have this experience, okay? That is different from the Turkish experience. There are Greek people that are outgoing, they are willing to help you. I don't say they are not, but for the most part, they are not like this. Okay? Greek people need a lot of, you need a lot of doing to convince Greek people that you speak Greek and they need to speak Greek to you. You know, you will never learn a foreign language if you use English or whatever language like crutches to help you. You need to get into the swing of things into the language, and that's very difficult for Greek. Greek people like learning English, like to boast their English, and like to use their English because they've been investing a lot of money on from this area on being able to speak English. And I don't want to give up. So if you're Italian and the person has learned Italian, there is this idea that the Greek person knows better Italian than the Italian knows Greek. That's bullshit. That's really bad. For the most part, my personal experience, I was the one who knew better Greek than Greeks. Then Greek knew Italian. I got lost in the sentence. So they tend to speak to you either in Italian or in English. I say, I'm generalizing. Okay? But, you know, you need to know what you're going to face if you learn Greek. Many people are untrustworthy, but I tell you, Turkish people are untrustworthy too as well. That this have in common. This. They start language change and then give up. That's a common thing. Okay? Can be some Eastern European or Midwest, Middle East thing. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Other things. Greek people are less. So you will find for every Greek person more or less 6 Turkish people. That's a fact. So it's more likely that that's one of the reasons Turkish people take more for granted that a foreigner can learn their language. Because actually it's a big country. Istanbul has more inhabitants than the whole of Greece, and I'm sure they're used to foreigners. Maybe not from Western countries, but they're used to foreigners. So they're used to the fact that the foreigners can learn Turkish. Obviously, the Middle East, there are a lot, also in Greek, there are a lot of words that are similar. But obviously, modern Turkish has more Old Turkish, but also contemporary Turkish as Persian words, Iranian, from Iranian language, and Arabic words. Okay? So there is a lot of commonalities, common things between Turkish, Greek, Persian, and Arabic. Okay? One of the most common words in Turkish, merhaba, is from Arabic. Selam, obviously, is from Arabic. Tamam, I'm using the Turkish pronunciation. I don't have the Arabic pronunciation. Tamam is from Arabic. Okay. Other things. Turkish people learn Italian. I don't know if there are more, on average, there are more Greek percent. For example, 2% of Greeks learn Italian, and I don't know, 3% of Turkish people. I think it's less learn Italian. I don't know this, but it's always the same problem. There are more Turkish people, even if there are less Turkish people who want to learn Italian. According to their population, it's always more than Greek people. I mean, to compensate, there would be, for every 7 Greek person who learn Italian, this must be only one Turkish people. I don't think so. I think there are always more Turkish people who are learning Italian. One thing that is not important here, I find very stupid that 2 countries, they have borders, and they have, if you think all the Greek islands in front of Turkey, it's a big border, okay? They don't learn each other languages. I mean, who in Greece learn Turkish? Who in Turkey learns Greek? Very few people. I'll tell you that. I don't say there are not. There isn't. No, there are people who learn Turkish in Greece. But considering that these countries are one beside the other, there are more Italians who learn German and French. Maybe the only thing is there are few Italians who learn Slavic, like Croatian, or because before there was Serbo, I don't know in English, Serbo-Croat. Now it's divided. Yugoslavia is divided, so there are not many Italians who learn these languages, but it's not like before. Okay, it's a big united country is more important, and Turkey is a big united country for the most part, if you would disregard all this problem with Kurds, but I don't want to enter into this. Turkish are, give an example. I entered several Greek groups who were learning Italian, trying to find somebody. I already know Greek for the most part, but I want to use it. You don't learn a language and you don't use it. Even if I know perfectly, I can't speak Italian just because I want to speak Italian, not because I'm learning Italian, I'm forgetting Italian. No, just because I know it and want to speak with people who share a common language. So we have a lot in common, because when you learn a language, you know things. You have a common culture of, for example, Greek singers, Greek musicians, Greek politicians, Greek history, and things, and Greek cuisine. And when you learn a language, it's not, to me, it's like this. It's not just for the hell of it, because I would never learn a language of a country I don't have anything in common, and I feel like there's a big gap. Okay, so I didn't have a lot of feedback. I mean, they were not interested. They were learning Italian. Having an Italian in the group, they made, because they were under a teacher, a Greek teacher of Italian, and they organized, set up the group, and the fact that I corrected her because there were mistakes. Because their approach, I don't know about Turkish approach. I don't know much to speak about that. But the Greek approach to learning Italian is, for the most part, I'm generalizing, faulty. A lot of grammar, a lot of writing. No. All work and not fun. There is an idiom in English. Anyway, what is the idiom? I sometimes Okay, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I said fun. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And that's it. That's what's going on. So I noticed that it was very difficult for me to get I wouldn't say language has changed because, you know, I've been dealing with Greek since 1984, but, you know, you always need to keep it a little bit more alive, the language. No, no way, I didn't succeed. Turkish people, also it was difficult because the problem with Turkish people that they tend to speak to you in Turkish, and at the beginning I surely have problems. Surely I have less problems now than I had 3 or 4 months ago, but still. But if you can understand, use you know objects, realia, sounds, not smell, because you cannot feel smell through, maybe in the future, but not now, through the web. It's very important. And if you're a good teacher and you have experience, you can teach a foreign language to anyone, your language, from scratch without using a single word of another language. That's the secret. I'll give an example. You don't know Turkish? Okay. Bir, iki, üç. Bir, iki, üç. Dört, beş. Beş. Some people say beş. Bir fincan. Bir fincan. Bir kutu. Açık. Kapalı. Sorry. Açık, kapalı. Açık, kapalı. What did I say? I taught you numbers from 1 to 5, the word for box, and the word for open, closed. I didn't need any English. Bir defter. İki defter. Bir defter. İki. So I said that defter absolutely exercise book, and bir iki, two exercise book. What have you noticed? There's no marking of the plural. Defterler, I use in plural. So now I'm explaining you, but you gather that in English, in Turkish, if you use a numeral, you don't need plural. Okay, if it's two, it's plural. So they avoid. It's like when you say in English 500, you don't say 500s, but they generalize this for everything. So you can infer grammar from situation, from sentences. However, it's difficult at the beginning. It's easier to say this is cup, this is exercise book, 1 is bir, 2 is iki. Doesn't work like that. Language are not acquired in this fashion. I mean, shouldn't be acquired in this fashion. That's why you study. I took French at school. Yes, you took, but you never got it. That's what happens in France. Because the system is so faulty. You need to get into the language, acquire, almost by osmosis, you know, like native speaker acquire the language. The more you're exposed to the language, the more you're exposed to the language in a way that you can absorb. What I mean, either it goes over your head. Sometimes I always I also follow documentaries, and most of it goes over my head, but I get used to the sound and the rhythm of the language, and I now and then recognize single words or some short sentences. And yeah, you can do a tenth of the time you devote to the language. Also, this, not to get, in order to be able not to get scared when you find yourself in a Turkish speaking or whatever language ambience circle. So it's not, oh, all these words, oh, this language I don't know, I feel like shit. No, it's par for the course, it's perfectly normal. This situation where you shouldn't last more than 1.5 years. I mean, there's a first period when you learn a foreign language. I'm speaking of languages that are really foreign, or Spanish, France, Portuguese, even Romanian. Foreign language, which means they speak and you have no clue what they are speaking about. Okay? No clue. After a while, you understand some single words, and the sounds is more familiar. So you can recognize these words you've been learning, mainly if you learn through listening to the words, not reading from books. Now, even words you learn from books, you can go to Google Translate and click on it, and the pronunciation is very good, at least for Turkish and Greek. I don't know for any other language. Okay. So you can also get used, okay? And this is a first, you need to learn mostly everything and anything. It's new. So for some people this is exciting. For other people it's frustrating. Since I got over this phase with modern Greek, and I know that if you insist and persist, not insist is Italian. If you persist and you're stubborn, one day you will overcome this phase. One day you will listen, you will hear people speak, and you will understand most of it when they speak about simple things, common things, not books or poetry or novels. That's another level. You get the language that a 2-year-old, 3-year-old boy or girl has. You have a very good pronunciation, very good understanding. You make few mistakes, or you say it sounds natural, but you will be very limited. Okay, it's normal. You will be very limited. Everybody who has learned their first language has been through that. Okay, you know, when you were speaking your own language, Italian, English, when you were 3-year-old, you know enough to get by, but you couldn't master the language. It takes time. It takes years. Don't be in a hurry. Being in a hurry or in a hurry depends on your accent. When you learn a foreign language, can be frustrating, stressful. If you lose the fun. Fun is not taking things lightly. No. You have fun when you do things also. When you deepen your knowledge, and when you have fun. If you don't like the process, you will never learn a foreign language. If you don't like the idea of at the beginning not knowing the language, when you don't learn a language, you're just a person who doesn't know a language. When you start learning, you become an ignorant of the language, not just somebody who doesn't speak. Some people don't like that. Try to speed up things, but in language, some things necessitate time. Some things are meant to be acquired little by little. And your mind absorbs the language subconsciously. Come a day that you say thanks in this language and you know why. Like, God damn it, I can speak the language. I don't even have to think before. How is it possible? Because you acquired the language the right way, like a native speaker. You can make mistakes now and then. People can correct you, but the better way not to make mistakes is to have had a lot of samplings, a lot of, I heard like this and must be right. When I speak, you use the same pattern, okay? Don't focus on single things, okay? Some people speak, don't make any mistake, but the language is so stilted the way they speak. They have to think everything. They progress, slowly. Their language has holes in the middle, and that's not good. People have more problems with speakers who are not fluent and have a bad pronunciation, rather than speakers that make mistakes now and then. It's more annoying, the other thing. And people focus on the part that's less annoying. Okay? Being perfect. Okay, you made even native speakers now and then make mistakes. That's why languages change. If every generation acquired 100% right the language would stay the same, but they don't. So I started from why Greek and Turkish. Why Greek is difficult to learn than Turkish, in spite of the fact that in itself should be easier. Because Turkish people have an attitude that is more conducive to a natural acquisition of the language, which is speaking with native speakers, and that's it. And you should be able to speak with native speakers from the beginning. People don't start to speak to their children when they already speak. Otherwise, they would never learn the language. You start negotiating. It's negotiating. It's called, I try to make you understand things. So it involves me being interested in make you understand and acquire the language, and you being interested in learning the language. And when you're a child, you're very interested, and your parents are very interested in having a relationship with their children where they can speak. Let's speak out before a child. It's like a dog. Before he can or she can speak, yes, they make faces, do things, but even a monkey can do that. What is the point where they become humans and not, so to speak, animals, because they can speak. And you want to speak with your children. Then if tell you that if dogs have the, for some magical trick or genetic engineering, if dog could speak, people would start teaching dogs to speak. How beautiful. Oh, there is a problem. A dog can demand things from you. You know, I don't like this food. I have to shit. Oh, you lead me. You take me out a few times a day. Okay. But all things considered, it would be very funny to have a dog that can speak. Oh, I don't like the other dog. Don't let him get near me, otherwise I will bite that dog. You can have a whole different relationship with your dog, and you will be very interested in teaching your dog to speak. Even if okay, dogs can understand something. Okay, it's true, they can accept simple orders. Some apes can understand much more, but very few people try, and nobody can really try to teach a complete language to a dog. He will never understand. But generally speaking, we are very motivated to learn a language when we are children. Everybody learns their own language, and everybody tries. We have like a inborn way to teach languages to children, in spite of the fact that I have no children. I can see, but I haven't been through that. We should use the same approach for us as learners, and for us when we try to teach another language. So when you teach a language to a child, you have another language to use. So what is realia, is situation. How would you acquire the sense of the word sweet? Either feeling the sweetness, or if you don't feel the sweetness, you put sugar into tea. You're drinking tea and you say, sweet. Then you take another cup of tea, you don't add anything, and you say, bitter. That's the way languages are acquired and learned. No, every person try to make a very normal thing complicated. That's typical of this society. We don't let our everything has to be organized. No, some things are easier on their own. Not everything. You don't learn mathematics like this. Surely you cannot learn history or geography, but that's another thing. Languages are acquired like this. You know why? Because this is our evolution in hundreds of thousands of years, and we can't go against our grain. Some people say, I acquire like this. Yes, if you acquire a language in a visual way, in another way, okay, you will be able to read the language and understand, or other things. But in order for you to speak the language in real time and understand the language when people speak, okay, without stopping the image, go to Google Translator, or getting a dictionary, or having the time to think it over. The secret, the key is, it's not secret, the key is knowing few things at the beginning, but knowing them very, very damn well. Okay? Then you have all the time in the world to improve your vocabulary, idioms, and everything. If you don't know an idiom. You can say that in another way. Surely in time you will speak in a more natural way. Idioms are part of languages, mainly in English. It's very rich in idioms. But at the beginning you need to know the basics. High, low, fat, slim, heavy, light, on the right, on the left, up and down, eat, drink, die, live, fuck, sleep, to run, to walk, to work, to think, okay, to move, to speak, to understand, on, under, beside, sure, certain, maybe. All these things, this is the core vocabulary of every language you need to acquire, I think, the first year. Okay? In 1 year's time, you need to know these things immediately. They will make you able to get by and express everything, every simple thing you have to express. And surely you need to know these things in the target language. You don't speak Turkish like you speak in English, or you speak in Japanese, or you speak in Greek. Sure, we have a tinge of our accent. Okay, you will never be perfect. Very few people will be perfect. You need to have lived there 20, 30 years, and most likely even after decades, you will always be spotted and like a foreigner. The problem is how thick your accent is. Okay? So if I speak Greek, there are some moments where I sound Greek, and some moments or some words or some where I do not sound Greek. Okay. But there are moments where I sound Greek. I have the musicality of the language. Obviously, I would say leave it well enough alone. Strive for 10, you would get 8. But when you get 8 and you know, okay, these are my thoughts. And I've been thinking about this because I haven't learned since I learned French when I was 30. The last language I really learned, then I gave up, but I learned at the time. In 25 years, I haven't learned any other foreign language. So I a little bit forgot what it is to learn a foreign language. I'm not speaking about a real foreign language. Okay? That means a language that is really foreign to you. I spoke a lot. You see, when you speak, you also learn things. All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. Okay. Goodbye.